So let's move to the relative topic as well. Why is Tinubu instead of usually every responsible government, you listen to people and address the concerns directly, the concerns of people, either by nationwide address, or granting one-on-one interviews to different media organizations or whatever. One-on-one interview. Instead of that, Tinubu wouldn't do that. Of course, no, because that is not his persona. So why sending his attack dogs? Of course, attack dogs, that's the right word. His attack dogs to go after protesters or Nigerians, for God's sake. I don't know, you flog someone and expect the person not to cry. That is in Tinubu's school of thought, that is what it is. When you flog someone, you ask, keep your mouth shut. That's exactly what Tinubu is doing. That's exactly what he's doing. Please, what is the reason behind this? What do you think is the reason behind this? Shegun. Okay, Shegun has frozen. Okay, Barrister, did you hear me?
Oh, sorry. I didn't get that last part.
Okay, what do you think? The last part is, what do you think is the reason behind this Tinubu's approach to this protest?
Well, of course, you should expect that no rich man won't die. No rich man won't make him lose money. No rich man wants to lose relevance. That's one of the reasons why you sell up and sell himself, of course, to a colonial master and do their bidding. Because some of these things that he's doing, people will tell you strange to them. Even some of his ardent followers are beginning to wonder what exactly he's doing. When you argue with them, they will tell you they are shocked themselves because this is not the Tinubu that they used to know. But you of course know the way the activities are in Nigeria. Nobody wants to think, nobody wants to sit down and look at those issues. We're not asking them to join the protest. Nobody is asking you to drop your uniform and join the protest. If you do that, that would be most noble. Because you'll be seen as somebody who understands that every human being on earth is put here for a reason. All of us can be leaders, all of us can be rich, all of us can be powerful. But we would exist as humans that are put on planet Earth by God Almighty. You see, they will tell you the carrot and stick approach to issues. But I keep asking people, where you're supposed, you said something at the beginning, where you're supposed to address the nation. Look at what they're doing. Going about gathering traditional rulers who are part of the problem. Speaking to people through the governors and senators who are part of the problem. A lot of them, a couple of days ago, Fire post a picture of some of them at the airport, running out of the country.
Yeah.
They already know that they have created the problem, but they are running out. If they are sincere, if they are honest, if they are upright, if there are people who love this country and want to see this country progress, they would stay here and join us in the protest and say, look, some of these things are hands are tied. But if you direct the president, immediately after they started saying, whatever it is that Tinubu wants, they will start. Look at the issue of the 150 million airborne aircraft that we bought for the president. Even before we started discussing it on your program the other time, they are paid. They are done ahead to pay. So which means our issue is not important because as Fabio was saying, do we want to endanger the life of the president? Don't we want him to fly around? But of course, it is common with all protests that the government will want to resist. And the best way to defend yourself against such resistance, some other governments will even join in the protest and join you to march and tell you, look, we understand what they're doing. It may be propaganda, but it will work because it would have been seen that they have shown consent. If you remember, in 2012, in the last election in 2020, the last protest in 2020, NSAS protest, someone joined to a certain point, was even dancing and drinking water and sharing ideas to people until the thing went out of hand and he looked at it like that. Maybe probably some people called him and said, you're not supposed to be seen with these people. It will seem as if you agree that what they are. You don't want to solve the problem. That is the question. Do we have a government, like you said at the beginning, that wants to listen to you and see that what they are doing does not favor you? The reason why you are protesting is because whatever it is that they are doing does not affect you directly to help you grow and think positively about the country Nigeria. It will shock you that if you see Send people down and ask them to pray for Nigeria. Only maybe 2 or 3 of them will open their mouth and ask God to bless the country. Because they will tell you, if God blesses Nigeria, does it get to them? So the reason why they will flog Nigeria, of course, is because they feel it is only violence, through violence, that Nigerians will bow and obey. Then, of course, we are also saying that if you learn to shoot without missing, we would also learn to fly without touching. There are so many ways of getting the government to listen to you. It may not be violent, it may be through protest. But there will be a way where you be forced to sit down and think that, look, this direction that I have taken is wrong. You may not be removed, but it will affect you at the tail end. He is panicking already because politics is supposed to start next year for 2027. You have not done well in your first year. Everything that you have done in the first year is paying back your cronies for buying a seat that you don't deserve. And it is going to continue probably until maybe a year before the elections. And you trust Nigerians, once they start to fire high and put what do they call it now? Palm oil, and put some Maggi on it and put some 1,000 naira. You find people shamelessly dancing, forgetting about the years of suffering. That is who we are. Unless we are bastardized, unless we are beaten, unless we are female, we don't sit down to think. But I'm going to tell you that this is going to be different. I have a feeling in my bones that even if they are planning to make it violent, God is going to speak through this protest, and things will change in Nigeria for good.
Amen. Amen. I hope so, and I pray so too. I pray honestly. While I have my criticism of the protest, honestly, I pray, and I hope it will come out as you just mentioned. Honestly, I just pray so. I pray I'm proven wrong. Let me use that word. I think that's the right word. I pray that I'm proven, you guys prove me wrong, or Nigerians prove me wrong, honestly. And Barrister, that takes me to Barrister. Barrister, again, I'll ask the same question. Why is Tinubu employing such measure to actually quell the protest instead of addressing the concerns of Nigerians, or addressing Nigerians as a person, either directly, maybe through public address by the president, or granting several interviews, one-on-one interviews to media organizations? Sort of, why do you think instead of doing that, he rather chooses to go to probably send his attack dogs against the protesters or against Nigerians who rightfully are out to protest his ill governance, his bad policies, and his corrupt government? Sort of. So what's your thought on that? What's your opinion on that? I can't hear you. Your mic is muted. Okay, you are okay. Probably that's why you went off the other time. That when you went off, probably it affected your sound. Okay. While we are waiting for, can you hear me anyway? Barrister. Okay, Barrister is all right. While we are waiting for Barrister to come back on, and let's move. I think we already did the next topic. I shall Tinubu adopts. Okay, we just said it. That's unfortunately. I think I mixed up the topics, and that is just it. Yeah, the style of Tinubu's government is the Joe Biden. I don't know if you've been following the U.S. politics and the president or whatever. Is the Joe Biden, his style of leadership is staying away from direct, staying away from the media. He rarely grants one-on-one interview to the media, and he has not granted since his the beginning of his administration. He never granted public interviews. That is press interview, what do you people call it? Yes, press interviews, press conference. Joe Biden has never granted any press conference in over 3.5 years now. He has not. What president does that? This is shocking to me. I think that is the same style that Tinubu has adopted and has chosen to go with. A sort of for the past 1 year, over a year now, we've not had any. We've not seen or had Tinubu giving any media organization interview of any kind or any kind of a press conference. What do you think is the reason behind it? Because this is exactly what Joe Biden is doing as well. Shegun.
I'm trying to unmute, and I went to pause the video. Okay, now, you're not far from the truth about it. What Joe Biden is doing is exactly what Tinubu is doing. Right before the election, you would notice the cloud. People will tell you that it's a strategy so that you will think that the man is incorrect. So he would have the full support of the Northerners. That's the argument anyway on the street, that he needed the votes of the Northerners. So he pretended to be sick and to be unwell and to seem to have issues with comprehending what it is that people are saying. That was where the issue of the Bulaba and the Balablu came from. And for him to be talking about recruiting 5 million Nigerians into the Nigerian army to eat Agbadoewa and banana, whatever it is. And I was pretending to be sick and incoherent so that they would back him up until when it goes off, our own son would now become the president. That is the rule. But you can see that recently, in the past 1 year, how many flowers have you heard from him? Except, of course, if he is intentionally derailing what it is that they're doing. It is part of propaganda, sort of, if you understand. That it is part of PR, sort of, to create the atmosphere of being incoherent and not in charge and not in tender with what is happening around him. So it would bring you to your knees to tell him your plans, for him to be able to unravel them and, of course, walk around them. That is exactly what is happening. Since he's become president, aside from whenever he decides to address the nation, probably on 29th of May, or probably on the 1st of October, or June 12th, when he will go ahead and be talking about things that are none of our business. When you listen to some of his, when you read through the excerpt of his speech, you don't find anything there that relates to you that seems to be of interest to Nigerians. Because if, for instance, if you bring somebody in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to your program to bring Angu, for instance, and you're asking just one simple question on the economy, you would realize then that the man does not know anything about those issues. All he wants to be is to be called Mr. President, and of course, use that opportunity to build an empire that at the end of the day is going to live here. So some of these people use these things tactically. They intentionally and tactically avoid the press, especially once they discover that the people are agreed about some issues. They don't want to go there to get angry and say some things that will put them in trouble. Remember, Buhari did the same thing. At a point, when people started agitating that Buhari is not talking to Nigerians, why is he always talking to himself and everything? When you want to talk, they will tell you he's not aware. When he says this, they will tell you he doesn't know. When you ask this, he will say he's not sure that thing is happening anywhere else. Look at how you watered down the issue of Dan in Kano when he was approached and said, "Look, this is what has been said." It was in a fact. And it was as this was what has been, I think they attended a function somewhere and somebody mentioned the issue. And he said he doesn't understand the application that was used to discover that the man had money stocked in his agbada. And people started clapping and laughing. What is funny in somebody who seems to be the face of corruption, saying that kind of a thing, watering down something that's serious. What is funny in it? So you are right in what you have said. For me, the man is judging the press, knowing fully well that, of course, talking to the press does not just come up with questions from their head these days. They ask from the people. What question do you want us to ask, Mr. President? Don't expect Nigerians to ask questions that are favorable to the president. There are questions that they will ask him that will be very embarrassing. It will not be left for the presenters. And the presenters, luckily enough for us these days, are beginning to be bold to ask those questions that people don't dare to ask. Because this is the only way to bring government government to the account table, to account to people what is it that they are doing for the people. Because ask the most simple of all questions: why do we have so much suffering? The only answer they will give to you, and through their aid, like Bayo Ononuga, like this other boy from River State and Co., they will come out and tell you, oh, Nigeria, Buhari messed up the country. He has borrowed money and collected loans with Nigeria's future. And that's one of the reasons why it's difficult for the government of Tinubu
All right.
to go forward. And they are looking at ways to go.
All right. Okay, I think you have really made your point. That's okay. Yes, I can. Your line, your camera froze. Finish up, please.
Yes, okay. So when you are repairing what Buhari has done, you are subsidizing ads for 90 billion. You are using 21 billion naira to repair a building that is already there to refurbish it. You are spending $150 million to buy an airport. Why would people protest? Why would people ask that we also look at them, even if it means sharing the money? Okay, recently they said they were going to give 20 trucks of rice to Nigerians. If I tell you how many cups goes to some families, not all of the families, some families, you will be shocked. You will be shocked. So you are not far from the truth from what you have said. He is avoiding the press for obvious reasons. He doesn't want to have the asked questions that will be embarrassing to him.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Barrister. Yes. Okay. Can you speak? Are you back? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Very clearly.
I lost the network.
That is the almighty network issue. We don't. It's not our fault anyway. So I understand. Now, I'll repeat that question I asked you before. You had issue with your mic. And I will need you to add it to this other question. There's the next topic we're talking about, actually. Now, what do you think is the reason behind Tinubu's approach to this protest? Instead of actually addressing the protest, facing Nigerians, talking to Nigerians directly, either by national broadcasts from him or by granting at least media interviews one-on-one, not just through spokespersons, one-on-one interviews to actually address the concerns of Nigerians. Why do you think he's taking that approach instead of doing the right thing, something that he's supposed to do? That is one of the questions. The second question, I will need you to join, but add this to the question too. Why? That is what exactly this man has responded to Shegun. Why do you think Tinubu has adopted the Joe Biden style of leadership, especially with regard to the press? Tinubu, for over a year now, he is not granted any interviews to the media, to the press. He has not featured on any press conference of sort. He doesn't speak directly to the media in any either even by proxy. It doesn't. It's just whenever anything happens, what happens is his attack dogs, especially this crazy, unscrupulous Bayo or Nanuga, but how is it pronounced or whatever. He just comes blazing on nonsense, sort of. So, what's your thought on these two questions?
Well, it's very obvious to me. In some respect, Tinubu has some similarities with Joe Biden of the United States.
Yeah,
they are both in advanced age. In Tinubu's case, number one, he's not eloquent. He's not inspiring. And his speeches don't make any sense to people as such. Go back and look at during his campaigns, when he's talking, if he's talking impromptu without a written this thing, you will not make sense out of it. You will now divert it to joking some jokes and crack some jokes like anytime he stands to talk, if it is not from a script, you see that he doesn't make a lot of sense. I am not one of the people who used to or who believe that the man has intellectual abilities. From a long time ago, I have said that the man is not intellectually sound. There's a difference between having a lot of money and people giving you respect in Nigeria because you have money and you have position. There is also a difference between articulating a vision, talking and impressing people who have knowledge, or even the average person, making him to understand what you want and where you are going. He does not have that ability to communicate to people directly and put across his distinct. So here, I believe he and his media team realize that. So they have to shade him from direct contact with the journalist, direct contact with talking to people, just like they did with Joe Biden in the US, where if you don't put a teleprompter in his front and get a speech, or the moment he goes off the script, you now see gaffles everywhere. You now see sense not coming out of the statement. Tinubu has that problem, and his media team recognize it. I even believe that even Buhari is a better communicator than him. So
Yeah.
they have to shade him. They have to shade him from facing the people. And in Nigeria now, if he face journalists now with the situation on ground, they are going to ask him the hard questions, and he will not have any answer. It will become an embarrassing situation. So as much as possible, he had to sequester himself, closet himself, avoid direct contact. Otherwise, what we are having now is almost equivalent to a time of national emergency. We require a president to come on air and speak forcefully and directly to Nigerian people and give them assurance. But you will not find that. I sent you a video I don't know if you managed to look at it, of Tinubu's speech some time ago. Now, assuming he were to face journalists now and they bring all those things he was saying then and his behavior now, it will be terribly embarrassing. So he has to avoid situations like that as much as he can. And that is why he recruited some very terrible attack dogs. Bayo Nanuga, the other time during campaign, Femi Fani Kayode, and the others. You know, these are people.
Festus Keyamo.
Festus Keyamo and co. If you look at somebody like Bayo Nanuga, he is very abusive. He talks anyhow. So he had to get a conglomeration of this kind of people that for any occasion, if you want to insult somebody, he will call on one of them. If he wants something, he will call on this. That is why the three, I think four of them, were brought together to form the media team during the campaign. Because left to his own this thing, it will be a disaster.
All right. Thank you so much. However, I think why I agree with both of you exactly what you have said. I agree with you, but I think there is more to that. I think so. I think there is one more reason why is, apart from what you people just enumerated, I think there is more to that actually. That is part of the reason, the reasons rather. But the additional one is for the fact that that he just feels he owes Nigerians nothing. He just feels Nigerians, after all, they didn't vote for him. I paid my way through to where I am right now. I bulldozed my way to presidency. And secondly, I will do the same thing in 2020. So I don't need, in fact, his body language, Tinubu's body language will speak to that, will tell us, we really, really define his mindset. It should define for an average, it's a common, I don't know how to put it actually, but the reality is his body language, his public language, everything around Tinubu right now, including his policies, are geared towards towards being careless of what Nigerians think of him or what Nigeria will do to him. It is careless because he feels that he got the presidency by through his money. Then secondly, in 2027, if God keeps him alive, he will eventually win Nigeria the same way. He will apply the same modus operandi, to actually retain power. That is just the reality there. So as a result of that, he just feels he doesn't need to impress anyone, and that's why that is the insensitivity behind. That is the insensitivity behind. Sorry, that is the attitude behind the insensitivity to the cries of Nigerians, the concerns and cries of Nigerians. That the more we complain that Tinubu is doing something wrong, the more he keeps doing that. In fact, he wake up the next day and do even worse thing. We are complaining about his financial recklessness, and he keeps coming out with bogus expenses and expenses that does not require priority, and he keeps doing that. That is in reality, that is what his actions speak.
You have made a valid point, because recently, if you listen to him, when he was being accused, the people were starting to say, oh, there's a Kaba that is controlling the government. He retorted angrily retorted that there's no Kaba, that he used his own money to finance the election, and he owes nobody any distance. Good. And nobody can control him because he used his own money. He said it in a very angry tone. So that point you made is valid.
That's exactly. I didn't even remember. I think I watched that interview too. In fact, I didn't even know that I would have made reference to it. But that's one of that. Of course, that's another proof to what I have just said. In reality, honestly, this man feels, and that is why he doesn't care whether he grants interview or not. Otherwise, let me tell you one thing. If Tinubu wanted to save face, or at least impress Nigerians to actually begin to support him gradually, he could have done something. Who did it? So there was a president who did it, who was actually into, was it Jugulo Jonathan or so? I've forgotten the president who did it. This at Obasanjo was, in fact, Obasanjo was the most forthcoming president. Of course, the man this smart, very intelligent man. He was granting interview all the time or whatever. So I really liked his own style. So even I had some issues about him, but at least based on where we are today, Obasanjo is a saint. Honestly, he's a saint. His government is a saint. Now, if Tinubu had Nigerians in mind and is concerned about the interest of Nigerians or the impression from Nigerians, he could have actually done something that I'm trying to remember the president that did that, who was using NTA then. It was NTA through Cyril Stober and his team. They were the ones actually always on monthly basis, or was it on monthly or quarterly? I think monthly basis, interviewing the president, on Meet the Press. I think it was, the program was Meet the Press by the president. So Tinubu, if he had interest in what Nigerian thinks about him, he could have, what Nigerians thinks about it, he could have at least bought a kind of let's even use government media, bring in government journalists to interview him and probably give him the questions in advance. They will draft the questions, or probably people like Bayo or Nonoga will draft the questions for the journalists to ask him, or there are questions that are not soft balls. Give him some soft ball questions or whatever. But he could have done that. And that is why I believe strongly that the stronger reason behind him not appearing with the media is my own reason. Why others are contributing, what you people say that to me they are part of it. And so I think the stronger reason is what I've just said. Based on his actions so far, it's about, I don't care about you. I don't care about what you think. I don't care what you say about me. All I care about is what I intend to do, what I want to do, what I intend to do, what I wish to do, I desire to do, I do them, and nobody is going to stop me. That is the body language That is the action. I think that is the reason, the major reason, if not the only reason, why Tinubu has refused and disrespectfully, in my own judgment, refused to actually speak to us directly through the media, at least one-on-one. Okay, I think, I don't know if there is anybody who wants to share a thought on this. If there is no, we'll move to the next topic. Okay, none.